Good evening, friends. We start tonight with a credibility crisis in the mainstream media. MSNBC host Joy Reid is under fire tonight after old posts from her personal blog surfaced in which she expressed homophobic views. Instead of simply apologizing or owning up to her previous views, she says they're not true, and she claims that she was hacked. Well, now the FBI is investigating the alleged hacking. Anya Parampil explains tonight this bizarre story.
It's been a rough week for Joy Reid ever since Twitter user Jamie Maz dug up some embarrassing screenshots from her former personal blog, The Reid Report. The articles, found using the Internet archiving service Wayback Machine, show Reid publishing homophobic opinions with titles like, "What's the gayest thing on Capitol Hill?" and the top 5 not-so-totally-gay Republicans of 2006. The posts include remarks such as, quote, "Most straight people cringe at the sight of two men kissing. Does that make me homophobic? Probably." And finally, a claim that, quote, "The intrinsic nature of straightness is the idea that homosexual sex is, well, gross." Now, at this point, most people would probably own up to the old posts, apologize, saying their views have changed, and move on. In fact, in December, Reid had to do just that when another homophobic article came to light, this one accusing Florida Governor Charlie Crist of being gay and referring to him as Miss Charlie. When more anti-gay posts surfaced this month, Reid bizarrely claimed she had nothing to do with them. No, according to Reid, she was hacked. In a statement to Mediaite, Reid declared, quote, "In December, I learned that an unknown external party accessed and manipulated material from my now-defunct blog, The Reid Report." However, the Internet Archive blog addressed these claims, saying they were contacted in December by Reid's lawyers who demanded they delete archives of the blog, asserting it had been hacked. The Internet Archive blog stated, quote, "When we reviewed the archives, we found nothing to indicate tampering or hacking of the Wayback Machine versions. We let Reid's lawyers know that the information provided was not sufficient for us to verify claims of manipulation. Consequently, and due to Reid's being a journalist, a very high-profile one at that, and the journalistic nature of the blog archives, we declined to take down the archives." In other words, the archive itself says Reid's accusations don't add up. But stunningly, Reid has only doubled down. She claims to have hired a cybersecurity expert, a man identified as Jonathan Nichols. Unfortunately for Reid, Nichols has some major credibility issues. Nichols not only describes himself as a PSYOP guy in his bio, he once boasted, quote, "I'm a senior leader, a senior PSYOPer. I find your civilian disruption to be cute," adding, "By way of example, I could have influenced the propaganda mission of Libya. I chose not to." Whatever that means, right? What's more, in 2015, he tweeted, "Like are most of you aware that I not only know Andrew, Stormfront admin, but I was the principal element live tweeting his release from prison." The individual Nichols is referring to there is Andrew Auernheimer, or Weave, a hacker known for neo-Nazi activism. In fact, just a few months ago, Weave appeared on a podcast to call for the slaughter of Jewish children, which he referred to as dogs, despite the fact he himself has Jewish roots. Nichols bragged on Twitter that he attended Weave's coming home party in 2014. He now claims to have been totally unaware of Weave's bigoted views, which he describes as abhorrent. So, all Reid has to back up her case is evidence compiled by a, quote, "senior PSYOPer." Not a good look. Neither is the statement from the Wayback Machine declaring the hacking of her old blog technically impossible. Reid's lawyers announced Wednesday that the FBI is now investigating the hacking allegations. That's right, the FBI is on the case, or so says Reid's team. That same day, MSNBC told Politico Reid will remain on air for the time being, yet just a few hours later, journalist David Schuster reported on Twitter that his, quote, "former colleagues at MSNBC say management is considering firing Joy Reid for alleged lies over her inflammatory blog history." Several talent have also argued that the Reid controversies aren't worth a weekend show whose ratings are, quote, "less than spectacular." Whether or not Reid survives this self-inflicted wound, viewers at MSNBC may be forced to reflect on the irony of the situation. One of the mainstream media's biggest cheerleaders of the Clintons and Russiagate is now using imaginary hackers to deflect from her own personal failings. In Washington, Anya Parampil, RT.